This very brief lecture is on brain-machine interface. And as you always know that in the title slide, generally I include the picture. So this picture highlights, about brain-machine interface, where there is a brain and you are trying to capture all the modalities. You look at what kind of modalities you are trying to capture. If you are interested in EEG, I mean, this picture is really very interesting. EEG, the range of signal is from 5 to 300 microvolt. The frequency is less than 100 hertz. How does it look like this? And where do you place the electrodes? At the scalp. Look at this very interesting diagram. And then go to a little further. And when you find the ECOG, corticograph gram, so you just insert some, to some deeper level, some cheap from there, from which or with that help you get a signal which is even which gives even more finer detail, and in the range 0.01 to 5 millivolt, and even some higher frequency but less than 200 hertz. And what is the the deepest one, and that gives even finest result, where you get spikes and local field potentials, where you insert microelectrodes, are these signals. So we have already, talked about in the previous lecture. So what is brain-machine interface? Main-made device that either can, why we are calling this, the device that can either substitute a sensory input to the brain. We have a sensory input in the brain. Can it be substituted? Can we have some interface that can substitute, or it can repair functional communication disorder between brain regions, or it can also help in translating intention of the movement. I mean, what is the user's intention? So there comes brain-machine interface. Like we talked about three things: sensory, repairing, and the translation. What do you mean by sensory BMI? So it is input BMI. It provides sensory input or perception ability when natural systems are damaged. It means your sensory input is not good. Then you are taking help of brain machine interface. I hope you are understanding. You must have seen the people using some device in their ears to improve their, the ability. I'm not saying that's a perfect example of this, but that comes under this kind of application where there is some loss in the sensory ability, and that you are trying to improve with the help of some machine. And therefore it is called as brain machine interface. So this is slightly different, than BCI. Otherwise, broadly it is BCI, brain computer interface. You are interfacing the brain signal with outside computing device only. For example, visual, auditory prosthesis, all these are examples of sensory input BMI. Motory output BMI. You can understand, suppose there is a damage in the limbs, or there is some problem in the physical device, and you want to augment the performance. So you can improve the motory task, motory performance of limb, which is damaged. So it converts motor intent to a command output, and that can help in augmenting the performance of damaged limbs. For example, prosthetic arm control, where the person's own arms are not being controlled by our brain properly. Brain is giving the command to move something, but we are not able to sense that, and we are not able to perform that task. So in such cases, your machine, kind of a artificial limb, can perform working and can help the persons in leading some normal life with the help of BMI. So this is BMI. And then the last part was, understanding, communicating, and translating. So cognitive BMI. One is sensory, then motory, and third one is cognitive. So it interprets the internal neuronal state to deliver feedback to the neuronal population. For example, epilepsy. Epilepsy is the case where there is a lot of disorder. Disability is there in the brain itself. So how, see that we are trying to understand the normalcy, the normal EEG signal and normal brain signal. And then what is abnormal inside? So natural capability in terms of communication and translation has been gone down, has been damaged, has been reduced, and we are trying to repair it in case of epilepsy. So sensory, motory and cognitive are the major areas where BMI comes into the picture. So in computational neuroscience and technology, and this area plays an important role in development of all these areas. And this is a term which is a very, significant, called as computational neuroscience and technology, that deals with neuroscience and also assistive technologies, which will help in development of hardware, development of machines and devices that could help in all these three major functionalities of brain computer interface. So I hope this diagram is very clear. You know what is the intent of the brain? You decode it with the help of machine, and then that stimulus is given to improve that perception quality. And so this is called as decoding. You decode it and then you code it, means you are from physical interface using a device. You are trying to give that input again to the neuronal interface to augment the performance either in the sensory, motory, or even in the cognitive task. So there are abstraction levels. I mean, the discussion is not very new when you compare with BCI, what we have been discussing for last 4 or 5 lectures. Brain is a complex system and it has billions of neurons and that to billions of synapses. So look at the abstraction level. You see, you start with molecules where you have some ions, chemical combinations, synapses at 1 micrometer. So when you go deeper, you get better informations. Then you go to neurons, then you go to network, you go to maps, you go to system, then finally you go to central nervous system. So when you reach to central nervous system, deeper down, you have so many other things at the different abstraction levels. And these are very important in order to understand the functionality, all the three functionalities of neural system. Wherever there is a damage, you need to analyze all these. And how can we do that? We have all the three modalities. If the functionality is, so much damaged, then, till here also you need to go by using some kind of, implementing some micro electrode array kind of system is needed. So BMI and nervous system, the choice and availability of brain signal and recording method that always affects the performance. Which choice, which method you are using, what type of brain signal. This is already explained in the previous diagram. If you are going even deeper, you are getting better signal and better signal strength. So that depends. The level of performance is also attributed to what is the electrode technology, how electrodes have been fabricated, what is the type and quality of electrode, choice of model, methods for extracting the features, what are the frequency and timing codes, what is the coding method. And these are, the different the electrodes like implanted electrodes, electrocardiogram electrode, ECOG, and scalp electrodes. We have already covered the frequency ranges. Localization, what is the localization? The single neuron level, we go in the implanted electrode where we insert some microelectrode arrays. So this is not new. You see here, if you go inside, you go till the single neuron, or better to say very specific group of neurons, you can reach there. And this is a very important picture highlighting the spatial resolution. So when you are here, your spatial resolution in terms of centimeter, ECOG, it is very less as compared to EEG, even further very, very less in terms of field potential. And when we go here, you can even think of covering 200 microns level. So you're going from invasive to this is the level of invasiveness. You started from non-invasiveness, then semi-invasiveness, and then you are going towards invasiveness. So the moment you are going to the outer surface, complexity is very high. You don't understand, it's so complex. But if you can actually go inside the brain and reach to the neuron level, you can understand brain is a simple, it's simple architecture. But since billions of neurons are there, difficulty of understanding is understood. So computational neuroscience, I was telling you, there is a huge role of computational neuroscience and the technology. I think all these areas like parietal lobe, and then occipital lobe, temporal lobe, the frontal lobe we have already discussed. This particular lobe has ability for muscular, muscle movement, premotor cortex, especially parietal lobe, perception of the perception of space and location of limbs. And this is primary motor cortex, which is related to movement of muscles, occipital lobe, visual perception, auditory perception. So these are, the cortical control of movements that is covered under computational neuroscience. Integration of all these is very important, combining all neurophysiological parameters, covering brain anatomy, physiology, and their different purposes. BMI research is an example of computational neuroscience approach, and neocortical brain areas related to the movement. This is what is highlighted. The posterior parietal means this particular is the description of the different areas which are highlighted in the picture, like primary motor, PMD is planning and guidance. This is based on visual input. Where is the visual input? Is in the occipital lobe. So this is the complete description of what we are calling as a neuroscience, and different area we get the information, we apply some computing methodology. So this becomes your computational neuroscience. That's all. So BCI, BMI, BCI allows direct communication between brain and computer, consists of data acquisition devices and suitable methods for feature extraction and all that. And BMI for clinical research, disease resection and treatment, and human computer interface also, where you need some device, some machine. I mean, rather than using a computer, of course, computer will be used in order to understand the brain signal, but that is also needed. I told you that there is a loss on sensory, motory, or cognitive. In that case, you need some device. So human computer interfaces are under BMI. They're used for controlling, they're used for detection of emotions. You want to study emotion of human brain, and text input for communicating something, to enhance the communication ability. So that is your human computer interface. What are the challenges in the areas of BMI? Technical challenges, and there are challenges which are related to subjects. Technical challenges are, if low SNR is there, signal quality will be less. So that will impact the analysis. Supervised learning, dimensionality is a bigger problem in supervised learning when it will converge, and system usability and real-time constraint. The thing is that how to implement this thing in real-time scenario is always a bigger challenge. The challenges which are related to the persons, mostly they are not familiar with the technologies. So they have apprehension, they, hesitate in using to be part of the system. Training phases are not very fun. You have to train the data, you have to bring the subjects, train huge amount of channels and features. So that's not a fun. Concentration, attention, consciousness levels. These are the complex things. And when you are recording the modality, a lot of precaution has to be taken. And then task difficulty levels. When you want to study about the attention or ability to pay attention, what type of, task you are assigning, what are the difficulty levels in different tasks. Accordingly, the assessment of cognitive ability will be different. So in clinical application, what do we do? You all know that in diagnosis of epilepsy, it causes seizure. You see here, in case of seizure, how left brain and right brain are affected in the EEG signal. Alzheimer's disease, physical or mental problem, study of problems with loss of consciousness. Schizophrenia, reduced delta waves during sleep. So when you go to sleep, you must have enough number of delta waves. Otherwise, you will not have normal sleep. So those who study the quality of sleep, how we are having a good sleep or not good sleep, how we are having, what type of sleep we are having in our life. So it is based on delta wave. So if it is the number is less, it is called as schizophrenia. Find location of tumor. This is another area where BMI is used. You can locate the tumor, you can localize the tumor, you can find the dimension of the tumor, and if there is any infection, bleeding is there inside the brain. All in such cases, you can send some device, a kind of a small sensor inside, and you can study about your brain. Sleep disorder and disability. I already explained there are different types of disorders: insomnia, hypersomnia, circadian rhythm disorder, parasomnia. This is nothing but disruption in slow sleep waves. So there are different types of sleep disorders, and there are mental tasks which need to be monitored by using mathematical operations and counting. So The neurofeedback, I think we have had enough discussion on the neurofeedback. We get the different types of signals. We use signal processing, we convert amplify, we use amplifier ADC converting into digital, we extract the features, select the channel, select the features, and then generate the suitable commands, and then we can either operate those devices or appliances, or we can give the feedback signal. So the neurofeedback used in BMI is used for dealing with anxiety, depression, personality trait. Someone is suffering with that kind of what I can say is la- lack of self-worth, lack of self-ability. So personality trait, mood disorder, nervous system difficulty, self-control, lack of self-control. So these are the areas where neurofeedback actually works brilliantly. A lot of research is going on. So what is HCI? Please bear with me. We still have 5 minutes. I may take another 2-3 minutes if required. So please don't leave. This is my request. So HCI, BCI is used for means of communication and control. And what is SCI? It defines active, reactive, and passive systems. So what is active BCI? Which is in HCI, human computer interface, where you are involving human also. Consciously controlled by user, sensory motor imagery like multi-valued control signal is active BCI. Reactive means you have understood when you give a task to a person, then when you see some object, when you see some character, so you react to that impression, you react to that picture, you react to that letter. So therefore it is called as reactive. Output derived from reaction to external stimulation. P300 speller. The next lecture is completely on P300. That is a very popular BCI. So the lecture which we'll take up on Monday will be completely based on P300, reactive BCI. And the passive BCI output is related to arbitrary brain activity like memory load, related to memory load. Today, what we were talking about in the first part of the lecture, study of emotion state and surprise. Are you surprised? What level of surprise? Is it surprising? All these are under that. Used in assistive, this SCI is used in assistive technologies and rehabilitation therapies. Assistive technologies, communication system. These are the different examples of assistive technology. Communication system like basic yes, no, character speller, virtual keyboards are the implementations. Control applications, movement imagination, cursor movement, wheelchair movement, artificial limb and prosthesis. We will discuss about all these applications in P300 BCI. Automation is smart environment, smart home. Current BCI systems are having at most 10 to 25 bits per minute maximum information transfer rate. So per minute, you can see that this is very slow. So this is very valuable for those with severe disability. They want fast response. So a lot of work is going on, how to improve this, but still this is helping in the assistive technology in getting the response by those and getting benefit, by those which are who are suffering with severe disability. So P3 wave, is generates event related potential, and that is used in the process of decision making, and that occurs when person reacts to certain stimulus. When I'm asked to watch a picture, suddenly I will react, and that reaction is recorded and called as event related potential. So generally, why it is called as P300, I have already explained. This is positive peak and after 300 millisecond of latency. But there are some peaks which are also seen at 250, 500 millisecond. But 300 is very important. That will explain, that will understand specifically in the discussion of P300 BCI. ERP used in lie detection. Where is the ERP? Particularly P300 kind of BCI is used in the lie detector. ERP abnormalities can be used to study Parkinson's disease, stroke, and head injuries. These are the areas. Typically, ERP paradigms will study. There are different paradigms under ERP. When we discuss about P300, that time we'll discuss about ERP. Last slide for this lecture is environmental control. We can also use this BMI BCI for environmental control so that we can improve the quality of life, especially for those who are having certain disabilities, so that they can operate devices like lights, TV, motorized beds, doors with the help of BMI or BCI. Typically, we use P300. It is a SMR, sensor motory rhythms, EMG related BCIs, which are used for the environment control. So as I promised you, I will close it perfectly in time. So we come to the end discussing about environment control. So this lecture was on BMI. You could see that it is not very different from BCI. It is very similar to BCI. What is the thing is that the direct neural interface, is substituted, and we are, using some devices and machines